A Fox News poll from 2012 found that 36% of Americans believed in UFOs. That's nearly 80 million people. Not only that, but 1 in 10 respondents believed they had seen a UFO. This isn't just a fluke in America. A recent poll in Great Britain found that 52% of respondents believed UFO evidence had been covered up because widespread knowledge of their existence would threaten government stability. Another recent poll from 2015 by the Vancouver Sun found that half of British Columbia believed in UFOs. So, actually, Americans might believe in UFOs, less than most people in the world. We have been known to be slow to catch on to things sometimes. Many polls, like the ones previously mentioned, show that a large percentage of the world's population believe in UFOs. But what are they? That's where the argument is. Are they aliens from a far-off place, or are they just people's imaginations getting the best of them? To get to the bottom of this question, let's look at the first known UFO report. No, not his. His. Hello, and thanks for watching Paralopedia, your source for everything that is, isn't, and might be true about paranormal phenomenon. This is your place to balance science with faith, where we live in the gray wasteland between closed-minded skeptics and mindless believers. I'm Jason from Raptan.net, and today we're looking at UFO reports before Kenneth Arnold. On June 24, 1947, while flying near Mount Rainier, Washington, a man named Kenneth Arnold claimed to have seen 9 unusual objects flying in the sky. Here's an excerpt from an interview he did the day after his sighting.
Newscaster in every newspaper across the nation has made headlines out of it, and this afternoon we are honored indeed to have here in our studio this man, Kenneth Arnold.
Well, at about 2:15, I took off from Chehalis, Washington, en route to Yakima, and of course every time that any of us fly over the country near Mount Rainier, we spend an hour or two in search of the marine plane that's never been found that they believe is in the snow someplace southwest of that particular area. And I noticed to the left of me a chain which looked to me like the tail of a Chinese kite, kind of weaving and going at a terrific speed across the face of Mount Rainier. I at first thought they were geese because it flew like geese, but it was going so fast that I immediately changed my mind and decided it was a bunch of new jet planes in formation. The whole observation of these particular ships didn't last more than about 2.5 minutes, and I could see them only plainly when they seemed to tip their wing or whatever it was, and the sun flashed on them. They looked something like a pie plate that was cut in half with a sort of a convex triangle in the rear. Now, I thought, well, that maybe they're jet planes with just the tails painted green or brown or something.
Notice how Arnold didn't refer to the objects as aliens or spacecraft. He referred to them as jets, thinking that he had seen some new military aircraft of some kind. Arnold did describe how the objects moved to a newspaper reporter. He said they moved like saucers skipping across water. In case you're interested, this is where the term flying saucer came from. He said the objects actually resembled a crescent or a flying wing, like the one in the picture he's holding here. After Arnold's sighting, many more started pouring in, and they're still pouring in to this day. Whether you believe Kenneth Arnold's account or not, his sighting of something strange in the sky was far from the first. In 3500 BC, a UFO was reported by Pharaoh Thutmose III. He was said to have seen a circle of fire in the sky. After several days, there was more of them, and they soon shined as bright as the sun. This account was recorded in his royal records. It seems like a strange thing to add, unless it is that this sighting made quite an impact on him. The ancient Egyptians, like most other cultures, had their own beliefs and stories, sure, but for the most part, these weren't incorporated into the royal records. To me, this would seem more the work of superstition or folklore if they had attributed the rings to something like a message from Osiris. They didn't, though. They simply noted them as strange. I believe that Thutmose III saw something the likes of which he had never seen before, and describing them as circles of fire was the best way he knew how. Can someone say without a doubt he saw a spacecraft from another world? No. but I don't think he was seeing Venus, strange atmospheric conditions, or swamp gas. What he described was, technically, a UFO. In 329 BC, during his invasion of Asia, the Greek leader Alexander the Great is said to have witnessed UFOs. They were described by him and his men as being gleaming shield-like objects in the sky. 7 years later, while trying to conquer the city of Tyre, Alexander again had another encounter with UFOs. It is reported that a gleaming shield in the sky attacked one of the walls of the city with a beam of light, knocking down the wall and allowing Alexander and his men to take the city. This might seem like a fantastic and unbelievable tale, but the citizens of Tyre reported the exact same thing, and claimed that this was the reason why they had lost the battle. The same strange tale from two different and opposing sides leads me to believe that there was something very strange happening in Tyre. Again, one can't say these objects were from another planet, but according to those that witnessed them, they were flying and unidentified, and they were able to knock down walls with a beam of light. On October 11, 1492, at approximately 10 p.m., a very strange UFO was reported by Christopher Columbus. It was said to have been a calm and clear night, and this event came just a couple of hours before Columbus would discover the New World. The report claimed that, without warning, lights were seen from underneath the ocean. A brilliant light suddenly erupted from the sea and flew into the sky, startling Columbus and his crew aboard the 3 ships. There were also 2 more dates that Columbus reported strange happenings on his trip to the New World. On September 17th and the 20th, his log says that some stars in the sky seemed to move, while others didn't. In Nuremberg, Germany, in the morning hours of April 14, 1561, huge round cylinders were said to have appeared above the city. Next, smaller circular objects emerged from them and flew around, appearing to be engaged in battle with one another. This picture was made by a witness to the event. 5 years later, in 1566, something similar was reported in Basel, Switzerland. Again, they appeared to the witnesses to be fighting one another. They were said to have fought each other, were consumed by fire, and then vanished without a trace. The encounter was documented by a local witness in this painting. Edmund Halley, the astronomer who discovered Halley's Comet, saw something strange in the sky in March of 1676. He reported a vast body, apparently bigger than the moon. He estimated it was 40 miles above him. He also stated that it made a noise, like the rattling of a great cart over stones. After estimating the distance it traveled in a matter of minutes, he came to the conclusion that it moved at a speed greater than 9,600 miles per hour. This man knew one thing, and that was space rocks. So I doubt whatever it was he saw was anything like meteorites or comets. And I don't know anything natural that would sound like the rattling of a great cart over stones. So what was it? Next, we have a sighting over Hamburg, Germany, on November 4th, 1697, of what was said to look like 2 glowing wheels. This picture above was made by a witness to the event. Have you ever heard of the Royal Academy of Arts in London? It was founded in 1768. 2 of the founders were Thomas and Paul Sandby. On August 18, 1783, Thomas and Paul, along with 2 others, witnessed something strange in the skies above London. The sighting was recorded the following year in the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. An oblong cloud moving more or less parallel to the horizon. Under this cloud could be seen a luminous object which became spherical, brilliantly lit, which came to a halt. This strange sphere at first seemed to be a pale blue in color, but then its luminosity increased and soon it set off again towards the east. Then the object changed directions and moved parallel to the horizon, before disappearing to the southeast. The light it gave off was prodigious. It lit up everything on the ground. Another strange account comes from the Denison Daily News of Denison, Texas, on January 25, 1878. The headline read, "A Strange Phenomenon." The story was about one Mr. John Martin, a farmer who lived 6 miles south of the city. In the article it claims while he was hunting, he saw a dark object high up in the southern sky. When first noticed, it appeared to be about the size of an orange, but it continued to grow in size. Soon the object was almost directly overhead, and had increased considerably in size. He also claimed that it moved at an incredible speed. Another early UFO report comes from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, in 1896 at a shipyard. 2 security guards were guarding a Navy ship. At 9 p.m. an object appeared flying over the ship. Both men shot at it and heard the ping of the bullets hitting the craft. The object brightened up and then took off at a fast speed. Before the term UFO was part of public vernacular, strange flying objects in the sky were often referred to as airships. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, many people from around the world claimed to have seen these airships. In November of 1896, the airships started being sighted over many California cities. They were described as metallic, cigar-shaped, and able to move as fast as a train, the fastest man-made thing at the time. Some were also said to have scanned the ground below with searchlights at night. Many saw these craft, even the mayor of San Francisco. Astronomers at the time shrugged off these reports, and said that people were just misidentifying the planet Venus. Despite astronomers' great explanation of the airships, the sighting spread from California to Washington and Arizona. In the first 2 months of 1897, there were no reports of airship sightings. But by the middle of March that year, reports started coming from Nebraska, Kansas, and Iowa. All those who reported seeing these objects described them in the same way as the people had in California. I do find it strange that when people in the West started reporting airships, nobody anywhere else in the country reported them. And when they started being spotted in Middle America, people on the East or West Coast weren't reporting them. Also keep in mind, during this period of time in history, there weren't many things in the sky other than birds. The German Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin didn't build his dirigible until 1898, and the Wright brothers didn't take flight until 1903. Even if these people had seen secretive test flights of these craft, neither of them could have done things like the airships were reported to do. Soon the airships were being reported worldwide. Everywhere from Ireland to New Zealand had reports of airships, and almost every report described the objects in the same way. During the Second World War, there were reports of Foo Fighters. These Foo Fighters were aerial phenomenon, seen in the skies over both the European and Pacific theaters. Foo Fighters were said to maneuver at great speed, and in ways no other aircraft could at the time. They were usually seen following aircraft, and some were even photographed. They were usually described as either metallic or glowing orbs. The Battle of Los Angeles might be the most well-known UFO sighting before Kenneth Arnold's. Many objects started being reported over Los Angeles during the night of February 24th and the early morning hours of February 25th, 1942. Soon afterwards, air raid sirens were sounded throughout the city. After that, a total blackout was ordered. At 3:16 a.m. on February 25th, the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade began firing 12.8-pound anti-aircraft shells at the objects in the air. By the end of this ordeal, 1,400 shells would be fired at the objects. The last shot stopped at about 4:14 a.m. The objects had moved on and the blackout order was lifted. The only damage from this battle was from friendly fire. Even though thousands of people had witnessed the objects, and photos of them were taken, the government's official conclusion of the incident was that the sighting was the result of wartime jitters. Even some high-ranking military officers that had been there at the time disagreed with this, and said there might have been as many as 15 aircraft involved. There was also the aerial phenomenon known as ghost rockets, that predated Kenneth Arnold's sighting. These objects were mostly reported in Sweden and their neighboring countries. The ghost rockets were said to be wingless, metallic-looking objects that followed aircraft in formation and were able to change direction and speed in ways no man-made aircraft could at the time. There were countless other reports of UFOs before Kenneth Arnold's, enough to fill an encyclopedia. Some were from very reliable sources, some weren't, but undoubtedly there were many reports of strange objects in the sky. If you're interested in some very ancient sightings of UFOs, you might want to pick up a copy of Wonders in the Sky, Unexplained Aerial Objects from Antiquity to Modern Times. This book has many of the accounts in this video, along with many others. I felt just like the dude from Reading Rainbow right now. So what do you think? Were all these sightings just a bunch of crap, or is there something to them? Let me know in the comments below. Also, you'd be very awesome if you would like this video, subscribe to our channel, and visit raptn.net for more on this and anything else paranormal. Also, be sure to check out our other videos and paranormal investigations. Thanks for watching, and remember, there's no reason to be normal when you can be paranormal.
On June 24, 1977, 30 years to the day after he first sighted them, Ken Arnold consented to speak to us. He had refused to make any public statements for the last 5 years. It's easy to see that after 30 years, he's still angry at the disbelief.
Right here, we've seen something. I've seen something. Hundreds of pilots have seen something. in the skies. We have dutifully reported these things. And we have to have 15 million witnesses before anybody's going to look into the problem seriously? Why, this is utterly fantastic. This is more fantastic than flying saucers or people from Venus or anything, as far as I'm concerned.